enthusiasm of the New York delegation. We will unite the party, we will unite the country by standing together for shared values, by standing for liberty. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless the United States of America.
Isn't that great? Just like Democrats in Charlotte 4 years ago. The timing of the booing when Senator Cruz is getting ready to leave the stage and saying, God bless America, and all of a sudden the boos are cascading down, which we know today were orchestrated by Paul Manafort working for the Trump campaign. Now, that said, I can't play both sides of the street on this one. I've not been pleased that John Kasich has stayed away from the Republican National Convention, even though it's just down the street for him. And he could go and he could bury the hatchet with Donald Trump, and I think he should. I've been upset that Jeb Bush hasn't done it. I thought for sure that Senator Cruz last night would have an emphatic declaration somewhere in the speech saying, look, things are going to be really, really bad if we end up with another 4 years of same old, which we will with Hillary Clinton. Therefore, I have sometimes disagreed with Donald Trump, and we have had our knockdown dragouts in the past. However, I think it is time now for you to make a choice, and that choice is to ensure Hillary Clinton doesn't get in the White House, and that would be a vote for Donald J. Trump. 8 minutes after 8 o'clock, Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Now, the media actually is enjoying this immensely because the only person they hate more than Donald Trump is Ted Cruz, and they're all writing Cruz off as politically dead today. Look, 2016 to 2020 is a 4-year stretch. It's a long time away. I was just sharing in my pregame video on Facebook. I think that there will be Republicans vying for this nomination 4 years from now because I don't think Donald Trump is going to be a two-term president by his own choice. This is a man right now, whenever he wants, he can jet off to Aruba or to Scotland or down to Mar-a-Lago, his golf course in Florida, and he doesn't have to worry about it. When he makes the decision, he can just go. As president, and I believe he is going to be the next president of the United States, he is going to be living in a prison called the White House. And he is going to find that incredibly constraining to his lifestyle, a lifestyle that this is really all he's ever known. And I think after 4 years, and believe me, I think he's going to disappoint a lot of his most ardent supporters. He will try to do what he has promised to do, but I think he's going to compromise on a lot of these things because as a businessman, that's what you do. You negotiate and you come to compromises, and that will disappoint many of them. So he'll get about half of what he wants done in 4 years, and then with that, he'll say, I'm turning the reins over to Mike Pence. So Pence will be running in 2012, but Pence is likely also to face some serious primary challengers before it's all said and done. Many of the names that we saw this year will simply be back come 2020. Ted Cruz, is he politically dead? Again, it's a long time now between 2020 and here we are in July of 2016. Bill Colley with you on Top Story this morning on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. And the coverage of this convention goes on and on. I love the column I read in the Washington Examiner today. You had the day-long controversy about Melania Trump, and then you had the controversy about Chris Christie. Now you have the controversy about Ted Cruz, and the writer says this is what all the reporters obsess about, but the only thing the public is going to remember is what happens tonight when, for 1 hour, Donald Trump comes out on the stage and says, I accept your nomination for President of the United States, and then he'll fill us in on what he plans to do from now until November and what he plans to do post-November. And when he walks off that stage, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, by Election Day, the only thing people will have any serious memories of about this convention will be that speech tonight. This is Ted Cruz, and I am reminding you, while he did leave the stage last night to the chorus of boos from Trump supporters, there was a time while he was on that stage, it reminded you that perhaps he was the man who was closest to Trump in his thinking during the Republican primary season.
Freedom means free speech, not politically correct safe spaces. Freedom means religious freedom. whether you are Christian or Jew, Muslim or atheist. Whether you are gay or straight, the Bill of Rights protects the rights of all of us to live according to our conscience. Freedom means the right to keep and bear arms and to protect your family. Freedom means that every human life is precious and must be protected.
Now, not long before he took the stage last night, and he was in the latter part of the program, I was watching Laura Ingraham. Laura Ingraham, of course, is a longtime Republican, has a talk show, and now a publisher of a large website, and a regular talking head on places like Fox News and some of the other alphabet networks on the Sunday morning shows. But you got to remember, prior to all of this, she worked in the Reagan White House. She worked for the Supreme Court. She was a clerk at the Supreme Court, which is like being a judge, and then practiced law for a while, and then was even a correspondent at CBS News before the talk radio career started. So she's got a fascinating background. She was trying to warn Cruz, as well as Kasich, as well as Jeb Bush, that the vanquished from the Republican primaries really need to get their house in order.
We should all, even all you boys with wounded feelings and bruised egos, and we love you, but you must honor your pledge to support Donald Trump now, tonight. I hope they're listening to you. I hope they are listening.
So, some questions for all of you this morning, and that would be, number one, and this multiple choice, did Cruz damage what they call his political brand last night, and is he now politically dead? Two, did Cruz's actions damage instead Donald Trump and harm the effort to get Trump elected in November? Three, option three is, did Cruz's remarks damage both of them to the point that it's giving Hillary Clinton the White House, and Hillary will not have Ted Cruz as a challenger when she runs for re-election in 2020. If you have some thoughts on that, please feel free to share those. 736-0300, 736-0300. Also, my email address is bill.colley@townsquaremedia.com. That's bill.colley@townsquaremedia.com. 8:15, and we have 62 right now, on our way perhaps to a temperature of around 100 throughout the Magic Valley before the day is over with. And in addition to yesterday's conversation on the air, we were talking about the whole. It's now pretty much forgotten, isn't it, already in the news cycle? Melania Trump and her plagiarism of Michelle Obama's speech, and we were pointing out this has happened before. It happens with Democrats, and we had a caller who scolded me saying, "Well, it's not enough to have a defense saying, well, the other guys do it." No, hold on here a minute. We do that because we know we have to balance the mainstream media. A great many Americans still, that's their only source for news. As powerful as Fox News is in cable, over at the old alphabet networks at 4:30 p.m. our time, 6:30 Eastern time, those old line network newscasts still bring in combined a much larger audience than cable news does. You may not know that, but that's true. Some old habits that people have just don't go away anytime soon. So most people, and even people listening to talk radio, you can't be attuned to all of this 100% of the time for the entire day. And a lot of people who are listening to talk radio maybe aren't quite the political or news junkie that you are, but they listen somewhat on a casual basis because it's something to have on at the house, or it's something to have on in the workplace, at the office. But I'm telling you right now, we have to let people know when a Republican is accused of this. We have to let people know that it has happened before. It has happened on all sides of the political spectrum, and that you're not hearing about it because media makes a choice. There is an editorial choice made among most outlets in this country to only tell you when a Republican screws up. It doesn't happen. And for all those people making all that noise earlier this week about that, you have a nominee for the Democrats who was so sloppy with her handling of emails that we know, James Comey has said it, that it is most likely the Russians and Chinese were reading every bit of that correspondence, perhaps even Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Which one of these is a greater threat to the Republic? That Melania Trump might have used a similar phrase to Michelle Obama, or that Hillary Rotten Clinton shared state secrets with people who could well be our enemies or currently our enemies? I think that's a fairly simple choice. And I don't know why people out there keep saying, well, those are the calls. I know who those calls are coming from. They're coming from the dope smoking party. You know what I mean, the libertarians out there. And I'm not tarring them all with the same brush, but let me just tell you something. And I used to be a libertarian in good standing. The problem with libertarians is they don't know how to market themselves. If I'm a libertarian candidate and somebody says, oh, so you approve of smoking marijuana, because they all know that question's coming, what you need to say is, well, personally, I don't. And I don't smoke marijuana. But I don't think prohibition works. And I think prohibition is bankrupting us. On the other hand, my party also stands for smaller government and eliminating the Department of Energy, the Department of Education, and the IRS. We can have a better tax system out there. We don't need to be hamstringing everybody and threatening them with a government agency. We don't need Big Brother in America. We need to allow Americans to flourish and get by on their own, and that way they'll be creative and productive, and they'll come up with new ideas that will provide jobs and turn this economy around. That's the answer that you have to give if you're a libertarian. The problem with these libertarian candidates, though, is somebody says, so you think smoking marijuana is okay? And they say, yeah, I just got stoned a couple of weeks ago. Well, you're trying to get votes. Well, we'll just convince people that smoking marijuana is okay. Well, you've been trying to do it now for 45 years, folks. This party was founded way back in the early 1970s. If you haven't done it yet, maybe you need a little bit better marketing. And frankly, you're not getting it. So for the time being, there's just two parties in America that matter. And right now, one of them always gets an unfair shake when it comes to coverage in the media. 20 minutes after 8 o'clock. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX and newsradio1310.com. It's 63. Janice McGee, and a former state legislator from here in Idaho, she was among a group many, many years ago that term limited themselves, and which actually I think is unfortunate. Their voices were certainly needed in Boise. She's a Trump delegate at the Republican National Convention. She'll be joining us in about 25 minutes. I just wanted to remind people, and I've been telling you for well over a year, that, of course, radio being a sound medium, you have to have good ears in order to keep up with it. And therefore, if you're having difficulty listening, you need to see Dr. Christine Pickup, the doctor of audiology at Mount Harrison Audiology in Rupert, the only locally owned independent hearing healthcare practice in southern Idaho. With advances in healthcare, she reminds you people are living longer, healthier lives. However, cognitive decline continues to be a major concern. People with hearing loss have a much greater risk of developing cognitive decline. That can lead to dementia. The greater the loss, the greater the risk. Keeping your hearing healthy is an important part of overall wellness. Knowing your hearing status and doing something about it can lead to a better, healthier life as you age. Now is the time to schedule a hearing evaluation today. Call Mount Harrison Audiology for an appointment. The telephone number, 312-0957. Some callers looking to join us this morning. Caller, you're up next. You're on KLIX at 824.
Yeah, a couple of things, Bill. Kasich and Cruz. I just, you say to yourself, do they not? They tell us how much they care about our country and love it. Well, in this case, what they need to do is quit being whatever the hell it is they are. You say to yourself, come on now, show me that you really care about America and the people. And you say, how is it that your Kasich isn't over there saying, listen, we don't have any choice. I may not be totally happy here, but by God, we got to get behind this man here. And Cruz, I think he damaged himself straight up. I'm so pissed off at him. I'm sick of this. We've got to win this election. If I go to bed on whatever day it is, November, and we have lost the election again, and they say, well, Hillary Clinton wins Florida, she wins Ohio, she wins Virginia, and you say to yourself, all this BS that we've done when we should have just been focusing on winning this election. Now, you said okay, I'm done with that. You said Trump is going to win. Why do you think he's going to win? And I'll just hang up. You said it earlier just today. Okay, thanks, Bill.
Thank you. And I'll share with you why I think that's going to happen. I was looking at a newspaper column in the Wall Street Journal this morning by Daniel Henniger. Some of you may know him. He's a business show talker on weekends on Fox News. Daniel Henniger is a great writer. Writes a column for the Wall Street Journal called Wonderland. And I happened to be looking at his column today, and he made a point that I just thought struck me that I thought about a couple of days ago. I was driving up Blue Lakes Boulevard, and I was looking at all of the flags that are flying at half-staff. And, of course, in maritime, that would be half-mast. But I was looking at all of that as that was taking place and that was going on. And I was thinking to myself, you know what? This has become an occurrence. It's going to be the way we live now for the rest of our lives in this country. And then I see this morning. Driving past a suburban city hall in Cleveland, he wrote last weekend, a relative of mine said, it seems like the flags are always at half-mast now. They go up and then they come back down. She's right. The U.S. has become a nation at half-mast. What the week's events has pressed into people's minds, he writes, is the feeling, correct or not, of the absence of answers or explanation. Voters are starting to feel trapped with no apparent exit. Well, Donald Trump says he's going to put an end to all of that. And you know what? I tend to say this time around, I believe that he will, that he will find a way to stop all of that from happening, whether it be terrorist attacks or whether it be the shootings of law enforcers in this country. That's what people are ticked off about, especially as well the economy and the economic stagnation in this country. You know the fellow Michael Moore? He was speaking about that on Bill Maher's program. Of all places, Bill Maher is a liberal, so is Michael Moore. I mean, uber liberal. Speaking over at HBO. Take a listen.
I'm sorry to have to kind of be the buzzkill here so early on, but I think Trump is going to win. I'm sorry.
You know what?
Yeah.
Boo if you want. I am glad you're saying that. Everybody should say that. No. The enemy is complacency.
Yeah. Yes.
Say it every day.
I live.
Not only could he certainly could win.
I live in Michigan. Let me tell you. What it's going to be the Brexit strategy. The middle of England is Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, and Pennsylvania.
There you go. This is a guy who says that we're looking at a situation in those old blue-collar states that had once been dominated by Democrats and labor unions, and people there have had enough. Donald Trump says, I'm going to try to restore this part of the country. We're going to bring an end to all of those people who are trying to take away all of your jobs. And finally, we're going to have someone who'll be your champion. That's how he's actually presenting it. So this is why I think that he ends up winning. I don't think it's going to be close, to be honest with you. I think by the time we get there, let's be honest, there's no way Hillary Clinton is going to go on the stage next week in Philadelphia and give a speech so rousing with her abilities that she has, which are quite limited when it comes to rhetoric, that she is going to make people say, wow. It's not necessarily always what you're saying either. It's how you're saying it. And in that case, she fails. She doesn't look good on TV. The camera isn't her friend. She doesn't speak well. And she's being dogged by the fact that she gave away state secrets. Hello? Problem solved. 8:30. Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. Couple of things coming up in the next few minutes. Speaking of law enforcement, we're going to have a discussion about some things going on with the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department. And then Janice McGeehan is going to join us about 8:45. She is a former state legislator and a Trump delegate at the Republican National Convention in Cleveland. Those things are on the way on News Radio 1310 KLIX. It's 8:30.